Hello, this is David Webb, and tonight I am making a video of the second game in the US-UK Internet Scrabble tournament that is being held at the Internet Scrabble Club. This is the second game in a 9-game series, with the US currently leading 1-0. The two people who are playing tonight are John O'Loughlin from the US and Helen Gibson from the UK. John O'Loughlin is playing under the ISC handle of olaugh, O-L-A-U-G-H, and Helen Gibson will be playing under the handle of pooh, P-O-O-H. Last night, Jeff Thievenot beat me to give the US a 1-0 lead in the series. I made a cockpit video last night in which you saw my racks and my moves, and we saw the moves played by Jeff but not his racks. Tonight I'm going to join the Railbirds in observing this game, so we will see both players' racks and the comments of the Railbirds. Let's see if they've started playing. There we go. Well, John rapidly gets rid of the Q from his rack. We didn't really see his rack, but he's played QI, which is quite a common move with the Q when you haven't got a U. And Helen is considering her rack, which is shown at the top of the screen. With any rack, the first thing that you do is look to see if there is a bingo you can play, either a 7-letter bingo or an 8-letter bingo through one of the tiles on the board. Well, I cannot see a bingo with this rack. Helen, if she does not see a bingo, will be looking to score and leave herself a decent rack leave. We can see on the right hand side of the screen the comments by the Railbirds. And John has played in titular, which leaves Helen with a bingo from this current rack. She can play trephine or nephrite, and there's also one more. And she can play them across here, trephine and nephrite. Nephrite is superior because it puts the H on the double letter score and therefore scores more. Let's see what she's played. She's played prehnite, which is the third of the 3 anagrams that I was struggling and failing to remember. So well done, Helen. John has a decent rack. He's got Radgest on his rack, which he can play down here, and he does. Well, both John and Helen are playing at a cracking pace, but if they've seen the move that they believe is the best, they should play it, and because maybe later on in the game they will need to spend more time contemplating their moves. Helen, having played prehnite, draws 7 random letters from the rack and unfortunately has drawn both of the V's. She will, I'm sure, be looking to improve this rack by playing off some of her letters that are not bingo friendly. In particular, I'm thinking of the 2 V's and a W, but she can't play all 3 of those, so she'll probably be looking to play off 2 V's or a V and a W. And we can see on the right hand side various suggestions. For example, there we've got Vivda suggested. Back with John, and he has got 2 Ys. I don't know which is worse, 2 Vs or 2 Ys. I think probably 2 Vs is worse. But John will not be looking for a bingo with this rack. He may have looked briefly, but I'm sure he hasn't dwelt too long on looking for a bingo. Now you'll notice on the right hand side that somebody has suggested yo-yo, and somebody else has written yo-yo with an asterisk after it, and the asterisk is Scrabble jargon, if you like, for a word that's not valid. It's not in the book, so if yo-yo were to be played and Helen were to challenge it, then the word would be removed from the board. Within the last year, we've changed the official Scrabble word list. It's been updated with a lot of new words, and one of the new words is Anyon, A-N-Y-O-N, and you can see here that our Budev is suggesting playing Anyon at 5k. Which is down here. The 5k indicates the 5th column and the kth row. So we come down from there and across from there, and that tells us the starting point of the word. Well, John's spending a little longer on this move than his previous moves. It is a tricky set of letters to deal with properly. And when you have problem racks, the quicker you can sort them out, the better. Because there's only about 12 or 13 moves in a game of Scrabble. And you'll be looking to play a bingo on perhaps 2 or 3 of those. Which means that when you don't have a bingo, you're looking to rapidly resolve your rack and leave yourself with bingo-friendly letters to maximise the chance that when you refresh your rack from the bag, you will have the letters to make a bingo. Well, we're back with Helen now. She played Woad last go, which kept 2 Vs. That was an unusual choice. It may well have been the best play, but 2 Vs is a pretty yucky pair of letters to keep. There are no bingos with this rack, so Helen does need to get rid of 1 or both Vs. Getting rid of both Vs is not an easy thing to do because there are not many words which contain 2 Vs. We saw a little earlier the suggestion of playing Vivda, V-I-V-D-A, and that is one of the words which does take 2 Vs. Helen plays Vum to get rid of one of the Vs, and we're back with John, who has drawn the first blank. And that looks like a fairly bingo-y rack. I can think of well, let's see what our railbirds are suggesting. Winchelsea, who is another member of the UK team, along with Helen and myself, is suggesting soybean. I'm not sure if he is suggesting that as a word which will actually play on the board, or simply a word that can be made with the letters. Anyway, what other suggestions do we have? Well, somebody has suggested naybody. Again, that's a word which can be made from the letters, but I don't know whether it will go on this board. And we have another suggestion of bayonet. Well, let's have a look at the board and well, there we go. Soybean was playable, Soybean and Yon. So well done, Winchelsea, who is Ed Martin. And we're back with Helen, who has resolved her series of bad racks with her V's and W's. She's still got one V, but the remaining letters are very nice. And the railbirds have already spotted that aversion is playable. And it's certainly playable across here. Helen has probably seen aversion, but may well be looking to see if there are any better bingos available. The ultimate bingo in this situation would be a 9-timer running through this S. It's called a 9-timer because it hits the triple word square up there and the triple word square down there, multiplying the score for the move by 3 and then by 3 again. So you're multiplying the letter score by 9, hence the name 9-timer. However, looking at Helen's rack, I cannot see an 8-letter bingo which uses her letters and the S. Well, our railbirds have not given us any suggestions other than aversion. That doesn't mean there isn't another bingo available, but it has eluded our railbirds. Helen plays aversion, and we're back with John. And this is a non-bingo rack, so John will be looking to sort it out. Having an F, 2 I's and a U on the rack makes it a pretty horrible non-bingo rack. So John's main concern will probably be to sort the rack out in terms of the letters left on the rack, rather than aspiring to score well. It's the combination between score and rack leave which will determine what he plays. But looking at John's letters, I think there are likely to be limited opportunities for good scoring on the board. One possibility would be to play IF across here. That would block the triple, and also it would stop Helen from using either of the triple letter scores in the way that she could with the board as it stands at the moment. The trouble with playing IF is the leave on your rack, which is AIOTU. Leaving 4 vowels on your rack is asking for trouble with your next rack. Now, one of the railbirds has made a very good suggestion of playing tifosi down here. Now that uses the T, 2 I's, an O and an F. It leaves on his rack AU, which isn't great, but it's certainly a lot better than AIOTU. It also scores well, 27 points, and blocks both triple letter scores. So well done, Railbird, for suggesting tifosi. Let's see who that was. It was Arlei, who I believe is Paul Allen, an excellent Scrabble player from Scotland, and he will be competing in the National Scrabble Championship final to be held at the end of October in London, and he will be playing against Stuart Holden. That will be an exciting game to watch. Earlier on in this match we saw John playing quite quickly, and he has now slowed down with this move. This is a mark of a good player, using his time wisely. But will he find Tifosi? One reason he may not find Tifosi is that it is a 6-letter word, and the 6-letter words are probably the last length of word that a Scrabble player would study. 7 and 8-letter words are very important because they're bingos and you get a 50-point bonus, so they are certainly worth studying. And then 2-letter words, 3, 4 and 5-letter words are studied because of the frequency with which they crop up in games, both in terms of getting rid of letters on your rack and in terms of words that are generated by playing parallel to words already on the board. Now, to demonstrate the importance of learning 2s to 5s rather than 6s, if you consider a given rack of 7 letters, there are only 6 possible combinations of 6 letters, if you follow me, whereas there are a lot more combinations of 5 letters. 21 possible choices of 5 letters. So 21 choices of 5 letters and 6 choices of 7 letters. Of course, each of those choices you would then need to consider whether there was a word there. But your starting point is a lot more choices for the 5-letter words, and even more so for 4s and 3s. Well, John has played if, which is good for the reasons stated earlier, but probably not as good as Tifosi. We're back with Helen now, and she has got a super rack. Now, there either is a bingo there, or she's very close to a bingo, and will certainly be able to leave herself with good tiles after making a move. Let's see if she's got a bingo that she can play. Well, one of the railbirds has spotted that she's got enticed on her rack, but I'm not sure if that actually plays anywhere. We've got a comment from one of the railbirds here, Jason KB. He is the 3rd member of the US team in this tournament. We've got Jeff Thievnot, who played last night, John O'Loughlin, who's playing now, and Jason Katz-Brown, and who has yet to play. Jason's is defending O'Loughlin's honour and word knowledge by saying O'Lough knew every word in the book 2 years ago, and he'll know every word a month from now, which is a reference to the World Championships that are taking place in Mumbai in India in November. All 3 of the US team are representing their country in Mumbai, as indeed are the 3 members of the UK team. I know that Ed Martin and myself are representing England, and Helen lives in Scotland, but I'm not sure whether she's representing Scotland or England or some other entity such as the United Kingdom. But the main thing is she'll be there, and she is one of the best Scrabble players that we have. She's probably one of the very best women Scrabble players in the world, but saying that detracts from her ability as one of the best Scrabble players in the world, period, and I'm sure she'd rather be regarded in the latter light. She's taking her time over this move. The letters are certainly very bingo friendly, and she will not want to miss a bingo. Well, she's given up on her bingo search. Our railbirds didn't find one, and neither did Helen. John is suffering. This was the risk in keeping 4 vowels on his after his last move. He's now picked up 2 more vowels. He's got 6 vowels and 1 consonant. All vowels in Scrabble score 1 point, and the consonant he has is also a 1-point consonant. So his opportunities for scoring well with this rack are quite limited. He will be looking to play off at least 3 vowels if he can. I don't know if it plays anywhere, but certainly a word like auto, A-U-T-O, we're leaving A-E-I, would be reasonable. It does play, it plays underneath aversion. But it only scores 10 points. I'm sure John would like to take out this triple word score, triple word square down in the bottom right hand corner, but I cannot see any 5-letter words on his rack. I don't know if John is the sort of man to be irked, but leaving that triple word square open may cause some players to be irked. Helen is 23 points ahead. John has played A-U-A for 15 points. And we're back with Helen, who has picked up the J, the K, and an H. There isn't a bingo with the letters that she has, but she will be looking to score quite highly with those high-scoring tiles. That's why they're high-scoring tiles, because they score highly. And I can see a suggestion of hijab from one of the railbirds. And the suggestion is to play it down here, which was for 42 points, which is a pretty decent score. And to give credit where it's due, there we have it, Sidewinder. Helen doesn't play that, she plays Jack for 44 points, which therefore keeps the E on her rack, which is a good thing because E's feature in bingos. Back with John, he's down to 8 minutes or 8 and a bit minutes on his clock. He's 50 points behind. He's resolved his problem racks and he's getting towards bingo territory, but I don't believe there's actually a bingo with those letters. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see the tiles that are left both in the bag and on the opponent's rack. So from John's point of view, these are the remaining tiles. John plays OI for 17 points, and Helen's rack has deteriorated slightly from a couple of moves ago, if that makes any sense at all. I'm thinking of the enticed rack. She doesn't have a bingo here, but it's a reasonable mixture of vowels and consonants. She should be able to score well and leave a decent rack leave. One possibility would be to play the word Hogan down here, which has been suggested by one of the railbirds. And that scores 43 points, which is pretty good. it leaves a couple of E's, but if you're going to be left with a duplicate letter, an E is probably the best duplicate letter to leave on your rack. Unless you have the good fortune to have 2 blanks on your rack. One of the railbirds has made an interesting observation that Helen has got an N and a G on her rack, and if she doesn't play Hogan, if she plays something else, such as Ho and Joe, thereby retaining the NG, it may be possible to play them on a subsequent move down here to make a 9 timer which ends SI-NG. That's a good observation. Let's see who made it. Cammy Man. Nice one, Cammy Man. Helen has played Hogan. And Remji, as quick as a flash, has said that John can play Sidelight down here, which is a magnificent 9-letter word. Will John see it? And is there a better move? I'm just wondering what other bingos are playable on this board. Although the board looks quite open, there aren't too many actual bingo lanes. One which stands out would be down here, but then you're looking for a word beginning with a vowel. The apparent bingo lanes down here and down here don't really work because they involve using 2 letters, either the A and the E, or the V and the H. It's not possible to play through just one of the A and the V. One thing to keep an eye on is John's time. See that now at 4:58. Which means he's fairly short of time. That could be a source of stress for him, or it could be that he is used to utilising all his time and will be no source of stress to him, whatever. I would be mildly stressed in his shoes. Looking at the scores, John is 78 points behind. So even playing a move as good as Sidelight is only going to draw him up level with Helen. Right, John has missed Sidelight. It happens. Wow. Fantastic. That is a splendid move from Helen. The only 7-letter bingo with 6 vowels. E-U-O-U-A-E-S. And that is just such a gorgeous word. We don't need to know the meanings of words in Scrabble, but inevitably you do get to know the meanings of some of them, and this, and I don't even know how you pronounce this, perhaps U-U-E, is, I believe, a Gregorian chant which for some reason is called U-U-E because the letters are every alternate letter of the phrase secularum amen. I hope I haven't dreamt that. Now, John's riposte is one fold, but he is still a bingo behind, and there are 2 tiles in the bag, and this is going to be Helen's game. Looking at the tiles that are left, it's very unlikely that there's a bingo there, and since Helen is 60 points ahead, she will probably just be looking to score reasonably well with her X. Okay, what should Helen be doing to score well with her X? What do the railbirds think? X and Axe, the obvious easy move, played across here. In which the X is tripled once and tripled twice, so that's a 50-point play. But with only 2 tiles left in the bag, Helen has the luxury of spending time contemplating this move. She's not going to be in time trouble, so she can look around to find the best possible move. She may take the view that the only way John can win is a 9-timer through the S and the I down here, and even if she cannot see one, she may block that simply for the peace of mind of knowing that she is blocking the only way that John could possibly win. One slight improvement on EX that's been suggested is XI in the same place, but putting the I to the right of the X, making the word yoni as well. That scores a few more points. Rex for 55 should be good enough. That puts Helen on 499 points. John is over 100 points behind. He's got a W on his rack, duplicate R's, a Del and a Z. The game is Helen's. Well done, Helen. And that ties the series at 1 game apiece. John will simply be looking to minimize the number of points by which he loses. He can play Sizer down here for 39 points. Which he will certainly have seen. But is there anything better? Let's just see how many railbirds we've got watching this game. And we've got 140 people watching the game. And it's shortly before midnight. Helen has won this game. She will be looking to win by the largest possible margin. She can see that her opponent, John, is left with ELRW on his rack. And one of the considerations Helen will have taken into account is whether John can play out with those letters. Now, whether or not he can, Helen has decided to play Climbs for 30 points. And it's still not over. Helen has the letter B, and she's got 3 minutes 56 seconds to find the best place on the board to play the letter B. Let's see what we can see. She can play BI for 8 points at C3. Surely there's something better than that. Nope, BI is the best I can see, and RLI expresses it well. Woohoo UK. I concur. Right, what we will do now quickly, as we did with our previous video, is have a quick look at the history of this game to see if there are any missed bingos, and we are going to zoom through this because this isn't a proper analysis. But it is always very nice to know immediately if you've missed a bingo. Well, on the soybean play, Baloney's was playable. Yep, aversion was the only bingo, so well done, Helen. We're just moving through these quickly. Oh, and this was the sidelight play. The only two playable bingos were sidelight and gimleted. Gimleted down through the E of soybean. I don't think any of our railbirds spotted that. When you look at that rack, you think there's probably a host of bingo opportunities. In fact, there were just the two. And who can say that they would have spotted either of those in the heat of battle? Well, that's interesting. Helen missed an outplay of limbex, which is a very nice word, which would have played down here. Obviously, it didn't affect who won the game, which is all that counts in terms of determining the winner of this tournament, but it's always nice to be perfect, and that was an imperfection on Helen's part. And BI was the best play for the B. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you've got any comments to make about it, I'm more than happy to hear what they are. Thank you for watching. Good night.